Imagine having like a secret decoder ring for really complex information, a shortcut to truly understanding something without getting totally buried in the details.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, that's pretty much what we're trying to do in this deep dive.
Okay.
Today, we're taking this fascinating journey back to 19th century England. We're looking at an organization that, well, quietly revolutionized an entire industry, the Royal Agricultural Society of England, or RACE.
RACE, right, a pivotal group.
And our guide for this is this remarkable German book from 1883 by Max Eyth. It's called Die Königliche Landwirtschaftliche Gesellschaft von England und ihr Werk.
A contemporary perspective which is invaluable.
Exactly. It's this rich, detailed account giving us a view from that time on how England became such an agricultural powerhouse.
So it's not looking back with hindsight, it's from the era.
Precisely. So our mission today is to pull out the key insights from this book. We want to understand not just what RACE did, but, how they managed it. How did they transform agriculture, become this global influence, and what can we maybe learn from their, well, surprising success?
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, so let's kick things off by unpacking what England's agriculture actually looked like back then, mid-19th century. Eyth describes it as an unparalleled ideal compared to other European nations.
It's true, and he backs it up with numbers. I mean, England's average wheat yield was 26 hectoliters per hectare.
26? Wow.
Yeah, and compare that to France, which was only managing about 12.
That's less than half.
Right. So you immediately ask, how did they get there? Especially when you dig a bit deeper and find some real underlying challenges.
Exactly. And the scale we're talking about was just immense. Great Britain had, get this, 3 million horses, 10 million cattle, and 30 million sheep.
Huge numbers for the time.
And the total cultivated area in England, larger than any other European country. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Despite these really impressive numbers, the source reveals some, well, significant hurdles.
Okay, so what were those hidden challenges then? Because unparalleled ideal sounds pretty smooth sailing.
Not quite.
The source points to, for one thing, an uncertain and pretty irregular climate. Annual rainfall varied a lot, like 62 centimeters in the east, but up to 88 in the west. That created a lot of insecurity for farmers.
Weather unpredictability, always a farmer's challenge.
Always. And then the terrain itself was often uneven, marshy, needed extensive drainage, and maybe even more fundamentally, the soil itself was generally described as, well, infertile. It needed substantial ongoing improvement.
So you've got climate issues, terrain issues, soil issues.
Yeah.
What did that mean for the people actually working the land? The source mentions this complex land ownership system.
Yeah, that's crucial. You had about 180,000 landowners, but the actual farming, that was done by roughly 561,000 tenants.
So a lot more tenants than owners.
Way more. And the value tied up in this land was huge. Eyth puts it around 25 million then, plus another 800 million in capital contribution from, livestock equipment improvements.
Okay, but this tenant-landlord thing, you mentioned friction.
Yes, because the leases were often incredibly short, sometimes just 6 months, maybe a year.
6 months? How can you plan anything long-term?
Exactly. It actively discouraged tenants from making long-term investments, like in drainage or soil improvement. Why would you, if you might be gone next year?
Right.
And this was really different from Scotland, for example, where they typically had 19 to 21-year leases. That offered much more stability.
So Scotland had a structural advantage there for progress.
It seems so.
Yeah.
It really highlights how let's say, the legal and economic framework can either boost or hinder agricultural progress.
Okay, so given all these challenges, climate, soil, dependency system clearly, something new was needed, a new force. And that brings us right to the RACE, the Royal Agricultural Society of England, founded in 1838.
Right on time to address these issues.
But they weren't exactly starting from scratch, were they? They learned from others, like Scotland's Highland and Agricultural Society.
That's right. The Highland Society had roots going way back to 1723. So there were existing models. But what really set RACE apart, I think, was their guiding principle.
Which was?
Practice with science.
Practice with science. Okay, sounds good, but what did it mean in, well, practice?
It wasn't just a catchy slogan. It meant actively, purposefully bridging the gap between practical, hands-on farming and scientific research, turning abstract knowledge into stuff farmers could actually use.
Making science actionable on the farm.
Precisely. They realized that, lab discoveries were kind of useless if they didn't translate to the field, and equally, that traditional farming could be massively improved with a scientific understanding.
A two-way street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this philosophy led to a really broad mission, the The source lists, I think, 10 key objectives for RASE.
Okay, like what?
Well, everything from collecting practical farming knowledge, promoting scientific advances in soil chemistry, plant diseases, but also improving animal health, livestock breeding, even advocating for the welfare of the rural population generally.
Wow, so it wasn't just about yields or machines, it was holistic, improving rural life as a whole.
Very much so. And another crucial part of their setup, something Eyth emphasizes, was their independence.
Independence? From whom?
From the state, primarily. They remained politically neutral, didn't seek government funding or patronage. Apparently, this neutrality extended even towards the royal family, despite the name.
Interesting. So royal was more of an honorific.
It seems that way. This political neutrality allowed them to focus purely on the science and the practice, which helped them earn trust from farmers across the spectrum, regardless of their politics.
That makes sense. Keeps the mission clear. So how did they structure this ambitious, independent organization?
They had a layered membership system. You could join for either £1 or £5 a year, different tiers, and a clear governance structure. A president, vice presidents, counselors. They held monthly council meetings and 3 big general meetings per year for all members.
Seems organized. But with such diverse goals, how did they manage all the different activities?
Through committees.
Yeah.
That was key. They had about 13 active committees, each focused on a specific area: finance, the journal, animal prizes, chemical research, education, machinery trials, you name it.
Specialization. Divide and conquer.
Pretty much. This allowed for focused effort on all those different fronts without getting bogged down.
Okay, so we have this well-structured, independent organization with a clear mission. How did RACE actually drive change on the ground? Let's maybe talk numbers first. Yeah. Membership, income?
Right. Well, membership fluctuated a bit. It hit 7,000 pretty early on, then dipped down to about 4,800 in 1855.
A dip. Why was that?
The source doesn't explicitly say. Maybe initial enthusiasm waned or economic factors played a role, but then it rebounded strongly, reaching over 8,100 members by 1876.
Okay, so it recovered and grew.
Yeah.
And income?
Their annual income hovered around £8,000, which was a considerable sum back then.
Definitely. So how did they use that influence and money? You mentioned the journal.
Yes, the RASE Journal, started in 1839, was huge. Eyth points out that it was really the first English publication to properly take on the role of disseminating scientific findings and practical advice directly to farmers. It became the go-to source.
So knowledge sharing was central.
Absolutely. But maybe their most visible activity, the one that really grabbed attention, was the Wanderausstellung.
The what now?
The Wanderausstellung, the traveling exhibitions.
Traveling shows. Okay, what stands out about those?
Well, just from a practical standpoint, they were incredible logistical feats. They happen annually but move to a different district each year.
Taking the show on the road?
Literally.
Yeah.
Sometimes getting temporary railway lines built just for the event. Massive setups. They physically brought the latest innovations, machines, prize livestock right to the farmers' doorsteps, more or less.
That sounds incredibly effective, but also incredibly expensive.
It was. And this is where it gets interesting financially. The exhibitions often lost money.
Oh.
Yeah, Eyth notes a total loss of over £27,000 across several events. Yes, significant deficits.
Ouch. So how did they sustain that?
Well, because sometimes they were also hugely profitable. The Manchester exhibition in 1869, for example, made over £9,000 in profit.
Wow, quite the swing.
And attracted nearly 190,000 visitors. They were clever with admission fees, too. Started higher, like 2.5 shillings on the first day, then dropped it down to 1 shilling later in the week.
Making it accessible but also maximizing revenue. Strategic.
Very. But beyond the finances, the real impact of these exhibitions was how they spurred innovation, especially in machine testing.
Machine testing? Tell me more about that. Weren't there already agricultural machines?
There were, yes. Think of Jethro Tull's seed drill back in the 1730s or 40s. But RASE formalized and systematized the testing of these machines around 1840.
How did they test them? What were they looking for?
Rigorous evaluations. They tested for power consumption, efficiency, durability, the quality of the work done.
Yeah.
Really put them through their paces.
Okay, give me an example.
Get this. The Cardiff exhibition in 1857. They tested something like 2,700 exhibits overall, including 16 steam locomotives adapted for farm work and 38 different threshing machines.
16 locomotives at one show. The scale is just staggering.
It really is. And they weren't just focused on British inventions. They were quick to embrace foreign innovation, too.
Like what?
Like the American mechanical mowers by McCormick and Hussey. They made a huge splash at the Great Exhibition in London in 1851.
The Crystal Palace exhibition.
That's the one. RASE saw their potential immediately, promoted them heavily through their trials and journal. This led to really rapid adoption and spurred English manufacturers to develop their own improved versions.
So competition spurred by international examples.
Absolutely. And steam power was another big focus for RASE trials and promotion. They really helped drive its adoption on English farms.
So what was the ultimate impact of all this machine testing and promotion?
Eyth argues it fundamentally transformed agriculture. It shifted farming from relying on, traditional methods and maybe some guesswork towards using technologically advanced, tested, and proven equipment. He calls RASE's mechanical department their most brilliant result.
Practice with science and action again.
Exactly. Moving from intuition to informed, data-driven decisions about machinery.
But RASE wasn't just about machines. You said earlier it was holistic. What about livestock?
Right. They put a huge emphasis on improving native British breeds, Shorthorns, Devons, Herefords, those types.
How did they do that?
Again, the exhibitions were key. They used them as platforms to set breed standards, award prizes, hold competitions, really encouraged systematic breeding for desired traits. It demonstrated this comprehensive vision, much broader than just engineering.
And they even looked below the surface, right? At the soil and drainage.
Yes, even foundational stuff. The source mentions RASE recognizing a Mr. Elkington's drainage methods, way back awarding him a 1,000-pound prize in 1784, even before RASE was formally founded, but showing the lineage of thinking.
Wow, 1,000 pounds in 1784 was a fortune. Shows a long-term commitment to fundamentals.
It does, and connecting that to the bigger picture, their work on soil science and crop science was just as vital later on.
Like the fertilizers.
Exactly. They championed the introduction of artificial fertilizers, things like crushed bones, Peruvian guano, which led to significant increases in land value and productivity.
Guano, right. Bird droppings became big business.
Big business and big yields.
Yeah.
They also promoted innovative farming systems, like the Norfolk system of crop rotation.
The four-field system.
That's the one. Turnips, barley, clover, wheat. Rotating crops like that help restore soil nutrients, prevent depletion. RASE helped make it widespread practice.
So machinery, livestock, drainage, soil science, crop rotation. It's incredibly comprehensive.
It really was a multi-pronged attack on the challenges facing English agriculture.
Okay, it's undeniable. RASE had a massive impact within England. But what about beyond its borders? Did this revolution stay local?
No, not at all. British agricultural machinery, partly thanks to the reputation built by RASE's rigorous testing and promotion, became a major global export success.
Ah, so the testing created a kind of quality seal.
You could say that. And the RASE model itself, the exhibitions, the systematic testing, the journal, it served as an inspiration, a template for similar agricultural societies that sprang up around the world.
Contributing to that world market of England idea Eyth mentions.
Precisely. It cemented England's reputation as a leader, not just in industry, but specifically agricultural technology and practice.
So looking back at all this, what does it tell us about how England achieved that agricultural leadership? Eyth seems clear it wasn't just luck or magic.
Not at all. He explicitly rejects any idea of magic intervention.
So, if not magic, what was the secret sauce according to Eyth?
Really, it boils down to consistent, dedicated hard work and sensible policies like those fostered by RASE's independent, science-driven approach.
No magic, just grind and good organization.
Pretty much. It shows the power of organized, systematic, science-informed effort in overcoming even significant natural disadvantages, the climate, the soil, and achieving remarkable progress. It wasn't an accident. It was engineered success, you could say.
Engineered by RASE, in large part.
Driven significantly by them. And Eyth ends with this thought, almost a challenge. It is never too late to follow a good example.
A simple but powerful takeaway. Okay, so just to recap, we've taken this deep dive into the Royal Agricultural Society of England using Max Eyth's 1883 account. We've seen how this really meticulously organized society, living by that motto, practice with science, just transformed the agricultural landscape of an entire nation.
Yeah, we've seen how they tackled those fundamental challenges, the tricky climate, the poor soil, the difficult land tenure system, not by wishing them away, but through relentless systematic innovation, testing machinery rigorously, promoting advanced livestock breeding, championing scientific farming from soil management to crop rotation.
And that impact wasn't just confined to England, was it? It created this global ripple effect. British farming tech and the RACE model itself became benchmarks worldwide. It really is a powerful case study in bringing together different kinds of expertise and just relentlessly pushing for progress.
Absolutely. That blend of practical knowledge and scientific rigor, combined with organizational independence, seems to have been incredibly potent.
So that final thought from the source: it is never too late to follow a good example. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? For you listening, what does this deep dive into race, this historical example, suggest about tackling the complex problems we face today? Can we still apply those core principles, rigorous inquiry, practical application, collaboration, to the huge challenges of our own time? What good example from Race's story resonates most as you try to navigate all the information out there and become truly well-informed?